What's up everyone, I'm Calamontos, and today is the day we've all been waiting for as the Glass Cannon Roulette wheel finally returns to the Go Battle League, and this is 100% my most insane GBL video to date. Obviously the last few roulette wheels, including yesterday's video, have been up against my subscribers where I asked them to bring spice picks, and they've been a ton of fun to make, but in today's video I'm facing real opponents running meta teams in the Great League Remix Cup. Like I said last time, each time I do this challenge, I will be adding 3 more glass cannons to the roster, so I've got 36 of the most attack-weighted Pokemon in the entire game on this wheel, which equates to 12 different teams. And I'll tell you right now, I was able to pick up a win with every single team in this video. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What is your favourite GBL video of all time? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so spinning the wheel for the first time today, we are going to see our first pick is Shadow Kadabra, a Pokemon that is very difficult to run. But speaking of difficult Pokemon to run, next up is Attack Form Deoxys, the highest attack weighted Pokemon in the entire game, and the third pick is going to be Pheromosa. So this was my first ever battle with this challenge, and you're going to see Attack Form Deoxys will not even make it to a charge move up against a Shadow Skarmory. That is absolutely awful. And by the way, if you haven't already, please leave a like on this video. Now you can see just how hard this challenge is going to be, and I managed to win with every single team in this video. So you're going to see this first battle is definitely over. I just got fully 1v3'd by a Shadow Skarmory, but into the next battle, I'm not going to show every single loss because that would take too long, but into the next battle, we're going to see a Toxapex in the lead. So I'm going to go straight for a Psycho Boost. I do at least make it to a charge move this time around. Psycho Boost probably one-shots the Toxapex there. We're now going to come in with the Shadow Kadabra, the opponent throwing on alignment there, which is perfect for me. They go for a Brine. I think I should be able to Confusion, farm them all the way down, and I do get that farm down. They're now going to come in with a Swampert. I'm going to go for that Shadow Ball straight away. Shadow Ball goes unshielded. That is a non-stab Shadow Ball, but it nearly one-shots them, and the opponent has a Roserade in the back. Pheromosa was probably the most useless Pokemon that I tried to run in the challenge. It was so difficult to use, but it will finally nearly take out a Pokemon there. Unfortunately, not quite able to do so, but Lunge will debuff their attack. They will be able to go for a Weather Ball and take out the Pheromosa, but they will easily be taken out by one Confusion by the Shadow Kadabra, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the second roulette wheel spin, and we're going to see Shadow Cacturne as the first pick. Shadow Cacturne, another Pokemon that is typically quite hard to run. Breloom as the next pick, maybe slightly easier for us, and Shadow Liepard, which is new to the roulette wheel this time around. But into the first battle, we are going to see Mandibuzz in the lead. They are running Snarl, which is a lot better for the Breloom, and you're going to see that the opponent starts to lag here. At least I think they're lagging. I'm not 100% sure, so I did carry on battling, carry on tapping there. We go for a Dynamic Punch, and the opponent's going to throw their charge move. I don't actually know how much energy they've got, so I'm going to swap after the next charge move, and I'm able to catch an Aerial Ace onto my Shadow Liepard. Aerial Ace not going to do too much damage there, and we will be able to fully Charm farm them down. Now I do apologise for using Charm on the Liepard, but otherwise it's pretty useless. So you can see the Charm damage is seriously adding up. These are non-stab Charms up against a Galvantula, and we get them into the red health before they can farm me down. Now Breloom does have a Seed Bomb loaded, so I throw it straight away, and as long as the opponent doesn't have a second flying type in the back, we should be fine. But no, they've got a Shadow Dragonite, so I'm going to bank the Seed Bomb there, and you can see with counters and Sucker Punches, we've got the Shadow Dragonite into near the red health range. We're going to force the opponent to throw their energy, and now from this range a Seed Bomb should be enough damage to take out the Shadow Dragonite, and I will be able to win my first game running this team. But I wasn't so sure if I should keep that in since the opponent did lag with their Mandibuzz, so I'm actually going to go for a second win here. Into the next battle, we're going to see Carbink in the lead, so a pretty good lead for the Breloom. The opponent safe swaps into Hypno. I was very slow to swap. We got 2 Dark types in the back, but I was thinking about which one's going to be better to go up against the Hypno, and then possibly, if we do get the full farm down, then throw energy into the Carbink. And we're going to see here, we're going to throw on the CMP tie with the next Elemental Punch. Grass Knot grabs a shield from the opponent. At this point, I can double shield, fully farm down the Hypno, and I will come out with at least a Grass Knot loaded and a little bit more residual energy. The opponent's now going to come in with a Serperior. We're going to farm and throw on the CMP tie with the Aerial Ace, and this Dynamic Punch is going to do huge damage to the Serperior. Once again, a non-stab charge move nearly takes them out. They go for an Aerial Ace. We can just counter, farm them all the way down, and it's looking pretty good. We are down a shield, but Breloom is resisting the rock throws here. They have to go for a Moonblast to take us out, or continue to farm and put us into range where a Rock Slide will take us out. Honestly, probably from this range we will be taken out by a Rock Slide, so I'm going to randomly swap and catch the charge move onto my Shadow Liepard here. As the opponent does go for the Rock Slide, we can now just Charm, farm down the Carbink from this range, and I actually went 2-0 running this team, so GG's to that opponent there. Now into the third wheel spin, we're going to see Shadow Sharpedo as the first pick. You love to see it. The next pick is going to be a Haxorus, and the final pick for team number 3 is going to be Archeops. So let's see how that battle goes. We're going to leave Sharpedo into Jellicent. So this is, well, a positive matchup in terms of typing, but honestly, a Shadow Ball will basically one-shot us. So I will respect the damage here as the opponent is going to full send the Shadow Ball there. Shadow Ball would be taking us out from that range, I do believe, but we can actually live a Surf. So I will let this move go through. I'm now going to fire off a Crunch straight away. Not sure if the opponent was going to try and make a Snipe there, so I just fire off the Crunch. The opponent lets it go through, and we're going to instantly swap into my Haxorus. Now Haxorus should barely live a Body Slam from this range. It will be very close, but we do just barely hang on. We can now go for a Breaking Swipe. Unfortunately, Breaking Swipe no longer has the guaranteed attack debuff, but it does debuff their attack, and the opponent is also running Spice as they come in with a Shadow Mewtwo. You love to see it. We are going to go for the Poison Fang. We will just barely get there before they can Psycho Cut farm me down, and this Poison Fang is going to be massive for me. Unfortunately, we don't get that Waterfall off, but the Poison Fang puts them into range where I can fully Wing Attack farm them down. They're at the back-to-back charge moves, but the Wing Attack takes them out, and now I make it to the back-to-back Dragon Claws. The first one will be grabbing the final shield from the opponent, and the second one will be enough damage to take out the Vigoroth from this range, and I'm able to take that game. So another one and done win for this team. Going into the next battle, we're going to see the Shadow Magneton as the first pick, and oh my gosh, this team was an absolute nightmare to run. We're going to have Alolan Dugtrio also in the Shadow form, and the final pick is going to be Shadow Weavile. So if we see a single ground type, or maybe a fighting type or a fire type, we are absolutely done for, but we're going to play it out anyway, swapping into our Shadow Dugtrio. The opponent throws a Mud Bomb straight away, so they actually give me a full Mud Slap in for free, and then they swap into Tentacruel. We are triple resisting the Poison Jab damage. These Mud Slaps are hitting for huge super effective damage. The opponent recognizes that, so they just let it go down, and now they're going to come in with a Frost Sash. So we're going straight for the Mud Bomb, grabbing a shield. Hopefully we can reach another Mud Bomb, but we are barely not able to do so. They do get the farm down. At this point, I'm going to fully sacrifice the Magneton. There's not a lot he can do, and the opponent's actually going to go for a triple Axle bait. So I swap into my Shadow Weavile, and this is a huge mistake. They are boosted in their attack. Shadow Ball is resisted, but it nearly one-shots me. They swap back into the Quagsire, and unfortunately there's nothing we can do here. The opponent does throw an alignment though, which is huge for me. Hopefully we can make it to the back-to-back Magnet Bombs, but I just don't think we're quite going to get there in time. We go for the first one, grabbing the shield, and they do Mud Shot, farm me down, and we just barely miss out on taking out the Quagsire there, but GG's to that opponent. Into the next game, we see a fighting type in the lead, but at least they are not running a fighting type fast move. We're going to go for that Magnet Bomb straight away. Honestly, I would prefer if they just let this go through, and that's exactly what they do. So now at this point, we cannot shield this up because there's no point. They will outpace me. They full send the superpower. Honestly, Resisted Frenzy Plant probably also one-shots us. We're going to come in with the Dugtrio, and the opponent over farms there. They get greedy, and we get the full farm down. Unfortunately, we do not have the alignment we want, but we're going to go for an Avalanche, and Avalanche is going to do absolutely huge damage to the Clefable, so they do respect the damage the first time round. I'm going to shield up a Meteor Mash as that would easily one-shot us. Going to go for Avalanche number 2. Hopefully this does KO from this range, but no, it barely doesn't take them out there, but that's fine. They're forced to throw their energy, and now we can get a small energy advantage with our Shadow Alolan Dugtrio. We've actually got a Mud Bomb loaded, and these Mud Slaps are really chunking, but look at that Shadow Claw damage. We are in risk of being fully farmed down here. I don't think I'm going to make it to 2 moves, or sorry, not a Mud Bomb and a Iron Head, so I'm actually going to go for the back-to-back Mud Bombs. Does this KO from this range? The answer is yes, it does. We take out the Cofagrigus, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next wheel spin, we are going to see Shadow Honchkrow. And by the way, Shadow Honchkrow, since the Sky Attack nerf, I just find it's completely useless now. Like, not getting to that second Sky Attack on the third Snarl just makes a huge difference in a negative way. But into the next battle, we're going to see Skarmory in the lead. Skarmory beats my entire team, but I've kind of just got to stay in. Unfortunately, not running Dark Pulse either, so I'm just going to full send the Brave Bird here. Even though this is resisted damage, Brave Bird does huge damage to the Skarmory. And we swap into my Shadow Gengar here, hoping to snipe before they make it to 2 charge moves. I thought, as long as they don't have a normal type in the back, we should be looking pretty good here. But unfortunately they do. They've got a Licky Tongue. I go for the Shadow Ball there. I don't know why. I should have just gone for the Shadow Punch. I did farm to, I believe, a potential Focus Blast, so we get the shield, but now the opponent knows they can just let that go through, and Shadow Punch obviously does not do much damage whatsoever. We're now going to come in with the Honchkrow, just force the opponent to throw their energy, as they're going to go for a Body Slam. Body Slam will easily take out the Honchkrow from that range. We can now come in with the Kartana, and unfortunately Kartana is going to have to let this move go through. Body Slam is resisted, although you wouldn't know it. That does huge damage. They then swap, hoping to catch a move there. We're going to go for a Night Slash. I am fishing for a boost because they've got Skarmory in the lead. It is quite likely they've got a Mud Boy in the back, but unfortunately they're able to lick, farm me all the way down, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next turn, we're going to switch it up and have the Shadow Gengar in the lead this time around. I'm not going to throw straight away just because they're not in range for a Shadow Punch, so there's no point throwing here. I will farm to the back-to-back moves, go for a Shadow Punch, and Shadow Punch from this range might threaten to KO. So we do grab a shield there. We're going to throw the second one on the CMP tie, and the opponent is going to double shield their Shadow Gligar. So I'm absolutely fine with that. I'm going to let the Gengar go down. Hopefully we can just razorly farm them down with the Kartana, and we're able to do just that. Now let's see what the opponent wants to do. They come in with a Skeledirge, not ideal, and then they've got Carving in the back. So literally the worst 2 Pokemon we could possibly face with our backline, at least in that order. We go for the Brave Bird. That actually did like nearly half of Carving's health. Unfortunately, I'm only going to make it to 1 charge move up against the Skeledirge, as an Incinerate will easily one-shot me, so I thought I just might as well full send the Brave Bird, go for a Night Slash, and hopefully this is enough damage to KO, but Night Slash doesn't quite take them out there, and obviously the Incinerate damage takes me out, so we do unfortunately lose that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we're going to see a Swampert in the lead. So once again, not going to throw the Shadow Punch straight away because I need the Shadow Claw damage to add up first, because that way they will now be in range where Shadow Punch will probably still not quite take them out, but it will at least threaten a shield. And I'm actually going to swap here. We get the Razorly through, which is huge for me. Obviously, I do not condone a Kartana save swap. It is not safe whatsoever, but the opponent comes in with a Whimsicott. They're going to fire off the charge move straight away. Double resisted Grass Knot does take out the Kartana, but we're going to wait out the switch slot, come in with my Shadow Gengar, and I will once again try to throw on the CMP tie. Hopefully a Shadow Punch will be enough damage from this range to take them out, but the opponent's actually going to use their final shield, so I'm going to shield this up. I think I can Shadow Claw farm them down in just 5 Shadow Claws. Can we get there in time? Yes, we are able to do so. I expect the Swampert to come back in, so I'm instantly going to swap. I don't want to use my energy, and the opponent makes a huge mistake as they swap into their Shadow Poliwrath. If they stayed in there, they could have just fired off a charge move, taken me out, but I'm able to Sky Attack, one-shot the Poliwrath, and the opponent's going to come back in with the Swampert. Hydro Cannon will be taking us out, but I've got so much loaded energy, I'm going to fire off the Shadow Ball just for the sake of it. Shadow Ball easily takes out the Swampert, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next team, we're going to see a Shadow Alakazam as the first pick. The second pick is going to be Archen, and the final pick for this team is going to be a Shadow Magnemite, which I did build just a couple days ago, and that's also a new pick for the wheel, obviously, since I only just built it. But into the first battle, we're going to see a Whiscash in the lead, so not ideal. I mean, it's much better to see it here than up against my backline. I'm actually going to no-shield this just because we can barely live a Mud Bomb and make it to a Shadow Ball, and this should at least grab a shield advantage, which I will be pretty happy with. So now we're going to come in with the Archen. Unfortunately, they're going to go for a Liquidation here, and as is usually the case, sorry, not Liquidation, Scald, and they do get the attack debuff, which is not ideal for me. I'm going to go for Crunch just because after the debuff, I'm not certain a Dragon Claw would take them out, but Crunch certainly does. We come in with the Magneton, Magnemite, and unfortunately they're running Fire Spin Charizard. If it was Wing Attack, I think I could just fully farm them down, but unfortunately it is Fire Spin. They farm me down. We do at least make it to a charge move before they throw their energy, but it doesn't matter. These Steel Wings are going to hit for super effective damage. If this was last season, they'd be running Air Slash and it'd be a different story, but unfortunately Crunch doesn't do anywhere near enough damage to take out the Skarmory, and we do lose that game. But GG's to that opponent. And speaking of Skarmory, you're going to see it in the lead this time around. So what I'm going to do is throw after 8 counters. This is the CMP tie with either the Sky Attack or the Brave Bird. They're probably just going to go for the Sky Attack. We do grab that shield advantage, and we've got Magnemite, which is such a hard counter to the Skarmory, so I'm happy to take that shield advantage, come in with the Magnemite, and we're going to go for a full farm down. Even if they full send a Brave Bird here, it is double resisted. We should live it, but it's just a Sky Attack, so that's fine with me. They're now going to come in with a Swampert. I'm going to fire off the resisted Magnet Bomb just because this will put them into range where Dragon Claw easily takes them out. If they want to shield, I could probably just Wing Attack farm them all the way down as well. So they go for the Hydro Cannon. We're now going to overfarm, throwing again on the CMP tire. We've got back-to-back Dragon Claws, and this will of course take out the Swampert. So they use their final shield, so clearly something in the back that is very weak to the Archen. So we're going to find out that it's a Skeledirge. I'm going for the Crunch, unfortunately not running Ancient Power, but Crunch still does huge damage to the Skeledirge. We get the Wing Attack farm down, and we can just Wing Attack, farm down the Swampert, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next spinning of the wheel, we've got Shadow Manectric, which is a new Pokemon for this list. Unfortunately, I cleared it there, so just try and remember that there is a Shadow Manectric on the team. The next pick is going to be Shadow Sneasler, and the final pick is going to be Shadow Chandelure. So going into that battle, we see Sneasler into Frost Sash, so this is a positive matchup. They're going to swap into a Bomber Snow, and I'm going to swap, catch the move, and get the Incinerate through at the same time. Weather Ball does about, well, less damage than one fast move from us. We actually get 2 Incinerates to fully take them out, and they've got Cradily in the back. What on earth is this team? They are so weak to fire. I know obviously Cradily does have Rock Side coverage and is part Rock type, but the opponent is just going to concede the match pretty much instantly, and I'm able to take that game. So another one and done for that team. Into next team, we're going to see a Shadow Absol as our first pick. Shadow Absol, always really hard to use. Shadow Hitmonlee, likewise, pretty tough to use. And the final pick for this team is going to be a Shadow Rampardos. So pretty rough team here. We are going to see Shadow Hitmonlee into Whiscash. So this is not great for us, but I'm just going to stay in. I'm just going to fire off a close combat straight away, expecting the opponent to throw a Scald at the same time. So close combat will be shielded by the Whiscash, which I did expect, but I can just let this move go through. Now their Scald will be taking out the Hitmonlee, but we do have a shield advantage. And shield advantage, Absol, up against a low fast move pressure team, does pop off. They're going to go for a Scald. Unfortunately, they get the debuff, but it doesn't matter because we've got Thunder, they've got a Mantine. Thunder easily one-shots the Mantine from full health, and there I make a big mistake. I was so eager to swap into my Rampardos up against a Charger Bug that I didn't quite bank a charge move on my Absol, and you're going to see that is absolutely costly. Pun intended there with the Absol, but we're going to go for the Rock Side here. I was trying to throw as late as possible, hoping for a CMP tie, but they can Mudshot farm me down, and we were one away from the Mega Horn. Unfortunately, Scald or a Mud Bomb would easily one-shot the Absol from that range, so we do lose that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into next game, we see Carbink in the lead, so this is fairly okay. They're going to swap into a Shadow Golbat, and we can hard punish them with the Rampardos. They don't even farm to a Shadow Ball, so I can let that go through. That actually does huge damage there, which is crazy. And Rampardos barely has any health remaining. Can we at least make it to a Rock Side? And the answer is yes, we get the new mechanic. That comes in clutch. We can go for the Rock Side, doing about 40% of their health, which is not too bad considering Rock Side is a pretty mediocre 45 energy charge move. We're going to shield this up. I know it's just a Rock Side of their own, but I kind of had to shield that up there. They're now going to come in with a Mandibuzz, so I'm going to go for the close combat. Close combat grabs a shield from the opponent. We're now going to swap, and you're going to see Absol is just so damn glassy. I mean, all of these Pokemon are, but Aerial Ace from a Mandibuzz does like 60 to 70% of our health. That is insane, and unfortunately, we're also running Psycho Cut as the fast move, so 0 fast move pressure. A Thunder though should be enough damage to one-shot them, so the opponent does use their shield. Now this is going to be close. They're going to fire off the Aerial Ace here. I don't know how much residual energy they've got. I can't remember, but they swap back into the Carbink. Now, unfortunately, I don't think I could fully double kick farm them down, so I fire off the Blaze Kick. I will be able to get the farm down. We don't have much health remaining. I'm going to go for the back-to-back close combats here, but that is a mistake, and you're going to see how much damage a close combat does. I think Blaze Kick would have taken them out from that range, and we already had a Blaze Kick and a close combat loaded, so I think that is a mistake there, but GG's to that opponent. And into the next game, we're going to see Charger Bug in the lead, so I'm going to shield the first move. They do throw straight away, so we get an extra double kick in for free. and this was really late at this time, and this is one of the hardest teams I had trying to get a win with, so there I probably could have committed to the double kick farm down. It would have depended on the new mechanic working or not for the opponent, but the opponent does let it go through. They're going to come in with a Hypno, so I'm firing off another Blaze Kick, and the opponent lets that go through as well. And unfortunately, if I was running Snarl, even though it's not much fast move pressure, that would hit for massive super effective damage up against a Hypno, and unfortunately these Psychic Cuts once again are going to be resisted. I'm going to fire off the Mega Horn just before they make it to the next Elemental Punch, and they actually let that go through, and big mistake from the opponent. They've got 2 shields and a Skeleturge, but that does not matter up against Shadow Rampardos, as I'm able to fully smack down, farm them down, and take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next spinning of the wheel, we've got Shadow Banette as the first pick, Zoroark as the second pick, so double Shadow Claw users, and the third and final pick is going to be Shadow Electivire. So going into the first battle, we're going to see Electivire into Pidgeot, so an amazing lead for the Electivire. They're going to say swap into a Whiscash, and unfortunately, this is where this team falls apart. We do not have a response up against a Whiscash. We're going to grab a shield, but it doesn't matter. They can very easily outpace me to the charge moves now as they go for a Scald. Scald does get the attack drop. Of course it does. It always does. Or at least that's what it feels like. Unless you're running Whiscash, then it probably feels like you don't get it that often. But now we're going to let this move go through here, and the opponent is going to go for another Scald, easily one-shotting the Zoroark. That is not ideal for me. But I should be able to come in with my Shadow Banette, go for the full farm down. Unfortunately, they do make it to yet another Scald, and Scald is going to get the attack drop once again. You hate to see it. We're now going to swap into our Shadow Electivire. The opponent comes in with the Vigoroth, and here I should have just full sent the Wild Charge. There's no reason for me to bait, because if they let that go through, that would be incredibly costly, but they do end up shielding anyway, so it doesn't matter. Body Slam takes us out. We are now going to overfarm as much as possible, farming to 100 energy, going to go for the Dazzling Gleam, and this will be enough damage to take out the Vigoroth, but unfortunately they will be able to outpace me to a charge move with their Pidgeot, and a Brave Bird would easily one-shot us from full health, probably one-shot several Banettes there, but unfortunately we do lose that game. But into the next game, another very positive lead for us, and the opponent is choosing to stay in this matchup. I'm just going to full send the Wild Charge here. I don't expect them to shield because a bait is quite likely, but they do end up shielding, so they're clearly very weak to the Electivire, so I've got to be careful of that. They're going to go for the Ice Beam and then swap into Skarmory. What on earth are you doing, opponent? Honestly, if you are very weak to Electivire, you probably should just play out that lead matchup and no shield it, because now we can easily take out the Skarmory, grab both shields from the opponent, boom, taking out the Skarmory, and now we're going to come in with the Zoroark just because I felt like Shadow Banette is probably more likely to one-shot something in the back, and we barely lived that Ice Beam there, so super clutch from the Zoroark, going for a foul play, taking out the Mantine, and they've got Clodsire in the back, so Shadow Electivire obviously had that Ice Punch coverage as well, but they still had a pretty strong answer to the Electivire. We can now just safely shield up the Earthquake. I'm going to overfarm, go for a Shadow Ball, and Shadow Ball hits like an absolute truck from the Shadow Banette. Shadow Ball nearly one-shots them, and I'm actually going to go for the BM, Thundershock farm down up against the Clodsire, double resisted, and I'm able to take that game. So into the next game, we're going to see a Shadow Haunter as the first pick. The second pick is going to be Shadow Gastly, so a lovely ABB style team. And the final pick is going to be Shadow Excadrill. So going into the battle, we see Shadow Excadrill into a Victory Bell. Not ideal. Going to say swap into my Haunter. Unfortunately, even though we are resisting the Razor Leaf damage, we're only going to make it to one charge move here. As we go for the Ice Punch, they get the full Razor Leaf farm down. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. We're going to come in with the Shadow Ghastly. The opponent is going to get farmed down by the Lick damage before they fire off a charge move. They then come in with Salazzle, and we barely make it to an Ominous Wind. That is absolutely huge for us. Ominous Wind grabs a shield from the opponent. They're going to fire for charge move straight away. This will just be a Poison Fang. It is triple resisted, so I actually let that go through. And I can Mudshot farm them down before they get off 2 Incinerates, which is absolutely huge for me. Because now I can go for a Rock Slide. Rock Slide does huge damage, and we can resist, well, double resist the Volt Switch damage and make it to another charge move. I fire off the Drill Run just for the sake of it, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next spinning of the wheel, we're going to get Unova Darmanitan. You can see both Darmanitans are still there, so if we do get the other Darmanitan form, I will not be including it because of course we can't use 2 forms of the same Pokemon in the Go Battle League. And the final pick for this second to last team is going to be a Shadow Mewtwo. So not using Galarian Darmanitan, just using the Unovan version, and we see a Celio, which I have not seen in absolutely ages. It feels like years, honestly. I completely forgot that they have Body Slam here. That does a ton of damage. They now swap into Quagsire. I'm just going to fire off the Overheat. It is resisted damage, but Overheat still does over half of their health, and hopefully it puts them into range where we can farm them down. But unfortunately, Shadow Mewtwo doesn't have an awful lot of fast move pressure, but the opponent goes for Stone Edge there, which is such an interesting play. It makes me wonder if they either don't realize just how glassy Mewtwo is, or if they're running Stone Edge and Earthquake as their charge move. So we go for Side Strike number 2, grabbing both shields from the opponent. At this point, I'm happy to let the Mewtwo go down. Stone Edge will be taking me out, but hopefully my Mean Shao can sweep in the end game. Unfortunately, the opponent will be outpacing me to the charge move, so I'm going to use my shield here as they go for a Body Slam, and we will now be able to go an Overfarm throw on the CMP tie. Grass Knot will easily be enough damage to take out the Celio here, and the opponent is going to have a Politoed in the back, so I'm going to swap out here and catch the Weather Ball onto my Darmanitan perfectly. Weather Ball will be taking us out, but now I can go for the Grass Knot. I wait one turn just in case they were able to swap. I don't think the Switch Clock was up yet, but Grass Knot easily one-shots the Politoed. I can Poison Jab, farm down the Quagsire, and I'm able to take that game. So into the final team of the video. It's pretty obvious what the 3 Pokemon will be, but just for the sake of the video, we're gonna continue to spin the wheel, and the final Pokemon is gonna be Regieleki. Now, aside from the first team, this was probably also the hardest team to pick up a win with, but into the first battle, we're gonna see a Lickitung in the lead. I am running Close Combat, so I'm gonna throw on the CMP tie with the Body Slam, and Close Combat coming through, one-shots the Lickitung from full health. Are you kidding me? They come in with a Gligar. I'm not going to swap out because I want alignment here. I'm just going to go for the X-Scissor, grabbing a shield because I just one-shot the bulkiest Pokemon on their team. They are incredibly scared of the Shadow Pinsir. We come in with the Darmanitan. Unfortunately, the opponent has a Poliwrath in the back, and even though Volt Switch is super effective damage and counters are neutral, they are dealing more fast move pressure, and even more fast move pressure now that the opponent has debuffed my attack with the Icy Wind. We're going to go for a Zap Cannon, and Zap Cannon doesn't get the debuff. And I must have done like 5 or 6, maybe 7 battles with this team. Every single time I threw the Zap Cannon, I don't think I got a single debuff, which is really unfortunate for me. But the opponent's able to fully counter, farm me down there, and take that game. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Quagsire in the lead. So unfortunately, they're running Aqua Tail, so quite a lot of spam here, but obviously we can live at least one Aqua Tail. I'm just going to fire off a Close Combat. X-Scissor would do a lot of damage, but Close Combat still going to do slightly more damage, so we do fire it off. We grab a shield there. I did think about shielding just because I would outpace them to the next charge move, but instead we're going to come in with the Darmanitan, and the opponent is going to farm up to a potential Stone Edge, so I will actually shield this up. It is the Stone Edge that would easily one-shot us, and now the opponent's only going to make it to an Aqua Tail, so I'm going to let this next move go through. Aqua Tail, not enough damage to take us out. And now they come in with a Charger Bug, so I'm going to go for an Ice Punch here, hoping I can make it to a second Ice Punch, but I wasn't sure if I would live the Volt Switch damage there, so I end up swapping out, probably a mistake from me, as they go for an X-Scissor, grabbing my final shield, and the opponent's going to swap into their Tropius. I'm just like, oh man, we lose this game anyways, but Zap Cannon one-shots the Tropius from full health. Are you actually kidding me right now? And now, unfortunately, we are going to get taken out by an X-Scissor, but can we get the Ice Fang farm down? We are barely not able to do so. They get to the charge move just one turn before, and unfortunately, X-Scissor will be taking out the Darmanitan, and we do lose that game. But into the next battle, we're going to see Dragalge in the lead, so not ideal for me. I have to just stay in here, and Shadow Pinsir is quite a scary Pokemon, so I'm just going to stay in, hopefully grab a shield, and the opponent does use their shield, which is absolutely huge for me, and we make it to a second X-Scissor as well, which is huge, because even though it's resisted damage, it gets Dragalge really low as well. I'm able to nearly take them out with the Ice Fang damage. The opponent full sends an Outrage there, so I can safely shield that up, get the full Ice Fang farm down, and they come in with a Stunfisk. They are incredibly weak to ice right now. We're going to go for the Ice Punch, and Ice Punch does huge damage there. I thought about shielding, but I'm going to choose not to shield. They go for a Mud Bomb, and they've actually got Tropius in the back, so I definitely should have shielded that up. You can see the Ice Fang damage was absolutely destroying that Tropius, but I'm going to swap out. They go for a Leaf Blade. I'm hoping for a Zap Cannon debuff this time around. Please let me get the debuff. Zap Cannon coming through. Zap Cannon actually does get the debuff, so I was wrong. We did get one debuff, but that's not a lot. we're now going to see the Leaf Blade doesn't do much damage. I think they might have undercharged that, trying to get a farm down, but instead I get the farm down, and now we've got an opportunity to throw a triple resisted Zap Cannon into Unova and Stunfisk and still take them out there. So of course I took it, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.